the Hoosier Triplets, a trio of Indiana authors road tripping through the romance genre and sharing what we love and learn. Welcome to our podcast.
Okay, the Hoosier... I don't need to keep doing the Hoosier Trips every time if we're going to make it one.
Hey, we're still the Hoosier Triplets.
Yeah. We don't hate each other yet.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about which writers or books influenced your series or book you wrote. We're going to start with Melanie this time.
Okay, well, for my contemporary romance, characters over the age of 35 is what I write. Jill Chavez, huge impact on my work, and for a while, every time I saw her at an event, I cried. I stood in front of her and cried.
You didn't tell her that you masturbated to her book, though, right?
No.
Okay, good.
No, she's not the one I masturbate to. She's the one I cry to.
I'm going to scoot this way some.
But, see, this is why I keep bringing my fans out in the shop. But at one event, Jill's husband kept calling me Smiley because I kept crying. Okay, and then another Hoosier chick, Kristen Ashley, her Rock Chicks series. Love it. I reread it every year. Huge effect on my personal change series. And then as far as paranormal goes, Patricia Briggs, if you read the Alpha and Omega series and the book, the novella that kicks it off,
yes.
You knew the name earlier. Anyway, Charles and Anna, they are my power couple, and they have a huge effect on my paranormal writing, plus Dark Shadows.
Well, mine is less a specific book or series, but I remember when I was just a reader, I was getting books from the library, so I was reading a lot of the what's the Bridgerton era?
Historical.
Historical, yeah, basically. I was reading all the historicals.
But how
did you not know historic?
No, but like
were you thinking like Victorian
I was like
or
Renaissance,
like?
I like how Renaissance
showing our hands.
Mention masturbation.
It's a specific part of, and
I've been awake a long time, and it's been a crazy signing. So words are hard, but that not Renaissance. Anyway, so historical. That's fine. But I didn't want to write historical. And I ended up reading the, I think it was the Alien Huntress series by Jenna Showalter. And I was just like, not only was it like science fiction-y and romance together, but it was also snarky and fast-paced and quippy, and I loved her characters, and it was one of those...
She likes some good sex.
She does, and it was like one of those epiphanies that, we got one of her books in our RAGT bags, but it was like that's my voice, like not her, like exactly, but I was like, oh my gosh, that would be how I would write. I can actually write, because I can't write historical. I'm not gonna do all that research, and I can't write like they talk, but I was like, this snark, I can do that. So that was like, oh my god, there's hope for me. I can actually be a writer.
Can you imagine Ava in the time where like the unmarried women, they could not follow a man sitting in a seat if it was still warm from his bottom?
Oh my god.
Oh no, you didn't. I will sit wherever the hell I want.
You can't show your ankle. I mean, can you imagine?
And wasn't like frequent reading something that would get you sent to the asylum? So I mean,
yes. You mean I wouldn't be able to do masturbation scenes?
But you know what? I'm pretty sure it wasn't like a cure for some mental diseases were orgasms. So I mean, maybe.
Freud. Okay, Sin, who did you?
Okay, so for my contemporaries and my romantic comedy, I don't have any. But for my paranormals, I have like some, like, I don't know, like my holy grail of, or I don't know, maybe like off the Mount Rushmore, because like Charlene Harris and Janine Frost, Karen Chance, Gina Showalter, Patricia Briggs, like their paranormal series, like to me, like those are like the OG. Like those were some of the first that I read. And yeah, okay, so maybe the first book that I read that got me into paranormal was Stephanie Meyer with Twilight. But don't hate on me because I was a lot younger, and at that time that book served a good purpose for me. But that like opened up.
Hey, you know what? It's like the 50 Shades of Grey. Like, hey, if it opened up romance and the BDSM, genre to readers. More power to it.
Yeah. But I mean, I love those books. So I knew I always wanted to write paranormal, but for me, the bar was set so high. I knew I had to hone my writing better than just like scribbles that I was doing in notebook or like stories I was writing when I was in class in college or in law school when I was supposed to be like actually doing something else. Yeah.
So then you're like, I guess I'll write contemporary until I can actually write like
my
good.
Contemporary was like, I'm going to practice with contemporary so I know like how to write like the publishing. And then once I know this, I'm going to like bust into paranormal. But again, I didn't think anyone was going to like any of my contemporary. So like that was a huge surprise. And like I'm not like humble bragging. I was honestly shocked. I thought that it was going to like bomb but so like I'm thrilled that it's not, and that felt good.
Well,
but then I'm also like, oh my gosh, I'm going to disappoint people. So there's like that added pressure. So I'll find fault.
I think for the paranormal, though, I think we're wearing more of a storyteller hat than if we're writing contemporary, because contemporary is kind of just reporting, as opposed to, we gotta, we want them to smell the evergreens, we want them to feel the rain, when we're wolves in paranormal.
Yeah.
Someone nod their head.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank
World building, we gotta get
But
it right.
I don't know. I guess that's sort of why I call myself the teller of the tales, because I think of myself as a storyteller who writes it down, as opposed to like the hard ass
Around the campfire.
Or the person who has masters in fine art and can recite poetry and all of that. That's not my jam.
Like the whole thought of poetry, but just put me to sleep. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was gonna say the one of us in the group that is the big rule follower is not me.
And it's not me.
Very much. I feel like you are very like world building. But in a good way. Like because me, I'm like, I don't know what rules are. You were doing Mad Libs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna say. But I'm like, wait, is that like the is that the proper thing she's asking for?
Well, wait,
what's a noun? And
do adverbs always end in ly? And I was trying to Google it. I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm a really good example of why you don't have to be good at grammar or spelling to be a writer, because you have editors and like proofreaders. I was signing some stuff today, and I wanted to. I was signing some books today, and I had like this really witty thing that I wanted to sign in one, and I'm like, but I'm not sure if I'm going to spell it right, and I'm like, God, I can't like put a misspelling in there. So then I had to like change it up real quick, and I didn't buffer.
You didn't buffer?
I didn't buffer.
Yeah.
Don't you know if you just write like the scribbly the word, they won't know if it's spelled right or not. I'm pretty sure I left the E off of Jane most of the afternoon. After the 4:00 hour,
I was like, hey, so glad you're here.
I did promise myself that like if I got to the point where I was signing books, that my name and stuff would always be legible, because I had an author that I loved and adored, and I like spent a lot of money on like a special edition copy of her book, and I was so excited to like have her signature, and it was squiggly line, and I was like reader me was so heartbroken, so I'm like, I'm not gonna do that to anyone else.
1 year for Christmas, my husband bought me the complete set of Kit Roach's Beyond series, which I worship at the throne of that series, and he was furious because they signed it to my pen name and not my government name, which is what he calls me. And so I'm like, well, that's how they know me. They don't know who this, they don't know government name girl. And he's like, you should just throw them away. I'm like, you should go live somewhere else.
If it's me or that, no.
But yeah,
Oh my gosh.
he was very upset about that. I thought that was, it's like, give me my books.
I'm a dragon.
Do you feel that there are certain rules that, mine are a lot more times mechanical, but then it's also I'm like, you can't do that. They just did that, and you can't do that. This book is awful, and I just like, and they're like, they did. But I'm like, no, because the author-reader contract has been broken.
Well, what's it like the whole storyline? What's that called? The art. And I mean, I know I can just hear you in my head sometimes, and I'm like, yeah,
tried to do that, like, and like, right with, is it like the snowflake method, and then
Ooh, I don't know that.
It's like all different kinds of plotting and planning, but that does not work for me.
Well, that
I go
sounds
with the bear
complex.
attack, where like anytime I don't know what to happen, like you have someone die, you have someone have sex,
Do
you
you
have
have
like
an
a bear
explosion?
attack, something like, yeah.
One more explosion. We're almost
I
there.
don't think I've ever had an explosion.
Who would I ask about explosion? Is, because I have the weird Rolodex.
I'm
and
sure
if
you've got-
anyone tells me they have like weird knowledge, I'm like, can I have your email? Can I have your phone? I might need you sometime. I don't think I know anyone that has explosive.
Oh no, yeah, Jeff Simon.
You would have.
Well, yeah, because he was talking, and I have used that knowledge like a couple of times with like things exploding, and then that vacuum that pulls the other stuff. Okay, so anyway,
Oh, and
that was
yeah,
my.
she's not the rule follower. No.
Okay.
No, but that was my Jeff Simon, COVID, live streaming knowledge that I pulled in.
See, I just think he was terribly worried that I had killed my husband and fed him to the coyotes.
To the pigs, because that would be.
Well, we had the coyotes on the ravine
yeah.
that runs through our property, so
Yeah.
and a chipper.
So, a genre or a story that we want to write that we haven't. Ava?
Would you like to start us off?
Okay, so I had, because Melanie talked me into it, toyed with the idea of doing rom-com sports, well, lacrosse specific, because my family is a lacrosse family. So I have been toying with that idea, doing a sports rom-com. I haven't gotten around to it though, but yeah. So there's that. Then whatever L. James writes, I want to write in her world.
But she won't let you have tentacles.
And she won't let me have tentacles because it's not what she writes. But I just think, and not, it's kind of like writing for the Delilah Devlin anthology. It's because it's 5,000 words, so it's a writing exercise. So I think writing in, like, for example, in Elle's world or in somebody else's world, then it becomes an exercise in craft and stretching my writing muscles in new ways, just to see if I can. And hopefully I can.
I'll go next. I always go last. I actually have a dark romance that I drafted several years ago. And I thought it was maybe too dark. So then I went and kind of rewrote it. And then I started being like, okay, I need to do my research. I started reading dark romance. And I was like, it's not too dark the first time. This is like pretty much contemporary now that I've like watered it down. And I just haven't gone back. But then I'm still kind of worried that my dark romance will make people look at me weird because it's kind of, I don't know.
I would like that in my mailbox on Monday.
So, but if you're gonna do dark romance, maybe you should, not water it down.
I know.
I mean, you are Dark Cindy, so.
Well,
So
I mean,
yeah, like-
I read a lot of dark,
Yeah.
and I've been like into dark when it was just starting to come on, and people were still like, "Ooh, we're gonna get buried by Amazon." So
Well, and then
there's not much that can't go on.
That's true. That is true. And now that I've read even more, and it's been, I don't know, 4 years since I've touched it at all. I know. I'm just giving you more fuel for your fire.
Where are all these books, Cindy Tanner? Where are
They're,
they?
okay, they're rough drafts. Like, you don't publish a rough draft.
Oh, are you kidding me? I just published 2. I was like,
Okay.
at the end, blah, I threw it up all over the paper and I sent it to the editor and then and then I hit publish.
I think Cindy Tanner should go down a new path with what to do with rough drafts. You got an editor, ask her to read it and see if there's, if it's salvageable or if it's shit.
That's true. Well, I mean,
I know, I've asked her that
4 years
on
before
things.
this. I mean, I don't even know if it's first or third person. I hope to God it. Oh. No, which is meaning like, this would have been at the time. It's been more than 4. Like, remember?
Check.
Remember when I was talking about like my dumb starting out ass didn't know my subgenres and tropes? Like, that was the kind way of saying I didn't really know what I was doing.
Well, but we can say on that there's the subgenres and tropes. And then there's what Amazon thinks is a subgenre and
Yeah.
trope.
That's true.
I mean, we know of an author that got a red flag in urban. What's it?
Urban fantasy?
Yeah, urban fantasy. No. In urban, what was that? I don't know. Anyway, it meant like inner city, people of color, and and it was like that's not you. That you should not. You're not in that. That's not your.
But
genre.
did Amazon put her there,
Yeah.
or did she? Oh,
Well,
okay.
she said Amazon put her there.
Okay.
But we know that there are people that screw
Maybe it's
with that
based
all
on.
the time.
Well, and I think it's also based on her keywords,
Yeah.
and not that she put that as her keywords, but you know, you get close, and then it's based on how they search for you. Although I don't know why. So for my first Dragon Shifter book, I got an orange flag in Chinese history. I'm like,
That was a surprise.
I know. It's like, yay, but Chinese history? Like,
So somebody's doing their doctoral thesis.
I was like, look, Dragon Shifters!
That would be fun.
Well, and I wonder how much gets affected by the Autobots, because some of the times if I look at like my stuff on Amazon and I'll see like the Autobots, I'm pleasantly surprised, but sometimes I'm like, what the hell? Like, who is buying this and me? You know, because it's like really left field. And
We have like vowels in our names,
Yeah,
but I don't know where it goes from there.
no, it seems like very arbitrary, and sometimes I think the whole system can be a little arbitrary, and they change the rules on us a lot. We tangented. Now, Melanie, putting you on the hot seat.
I don't know
What do you want? What's the question? What genre or trope do you want to write that you haven't yet?
Or book.
Or
that
book.
You, yeah.
Oh God, you know that's hard, because
That's what she said.
because I've written. I mean, I'm living my dream. I write what I want. We went to a conference, and Becca Syme spoke, and she was doing these different author personalities.
Archetypes? Or
Yeah.
personality.
And so it's like people are cooperating, or they like are in it until like the first rough patch, and I'm like, that's not me. That's not me. They're like going, oh, that one. That's not me. That's not me. We have the island. The island, which is me, is somebody that just basically says, fuck it, I don't care. I'm doing it my way, and you know, who cares? And so that's how I do the writing. I mean, I have things in my head that I want to write.
But not anything that you're like, oh, if only I had like the guts to write that, or oh, that would be my dream.
No.
You know.
No, I think. Well, I mean, I put my heart and soul into See Me and Feel Me, because when I was writing my first paranormal book, it was really really big, and I knew it was too big for one book. So
That's what she said.
So yeah, but I mean, I put that. I don't know. Right now, I don't have that dream. I don't want to write historical, that's for sure, because that's too hard, and that would involve research. And more
Instead
than
of
like
making shit up, which is
Yeah.
what we love to do.
Well, even if you did like paranormal, historical, but you still. So I have a question. So then, has everything you've written been published? Like, have you published everything you've written?
Absolutely.
So you don't have like, you know, the box of manuscripts under your bed that you're
Wait a
like
minute.
cannot see the light
I
of day.
take that back. I have 2 short stories that have not been published.
Ava?
I actually have the idea for a whole trilogy, and I've written 2 and like 4/10 of the trilogy that is under my bed, and it was like the first thing that I started writing.
Is this like Cows in Space?
No, it was actually it was sci-fi, Earth-based, aliens coming here, and it was a specific world of aliens that I had, and I thought it was so good, and I actually submitted it for a published author contest, and like some of the feedback comments were, really? Like, you might want to rethink that. I was just like,
But you know, and there was a time where through Romance Writers of America, when it was there, it was very much every group had the submit to us, and we'll give you back, just, pages of comments and critiques. But here's the dirty little secret, authors out there. Sometimes it was being critiqued by somebody that's never published, maybe only joined the group 1 month before,
or doesn't know what the trope or genre
Yeah,
that you're
doesn't
writing
know
in
the
is.
genre,
so I mean, that's, again, here I am, the island, I say write it.
It's just, and it's one of those things that, like, it was like, I didn't know what I didn't know. So, like, head hopping and POV changes and things like that. And so I kind of like, maybe I'll get around to it, but I would have to totally rewrite it. And honestly, at this point, it's not, at the time, it was like the burning, story that I wanted to tell. And now I'm like, it's fine.
Okay.
It was a good exercise.
So I have a follow-up. So when did you start writing, like when you published? Like when did you start writing? Versus when were you first published?
2012, I came home from an event and said, I'm going to be a writer. I had been in the bar with some writers that were with a publisher, Sam Hain, and one of the authors, Mary Carr, said, "You tell a really good story. You should write a book." And I was like, "Okay." So the second book that I wrote was a novella, was The Party Plan, and it was published first. And then, but I wrote Change for the Good was the very first book I wrote, and it was the second book published. I do it all different. I do it all wrong. I broke all the rules. RWA.
You're such an island.
What about you, Ava?
What was the question?
Like, so, okay, the ones that are buried under your bed, like We Shall Never Speak Of. When did you write those versus? When did you first
So my story is my 40th birthday. I was in Vegas with my BFF, and we were drinking margaritas, and I was reading a romance story, and got to the end. It was just one of those like, I mean, it wasn't bad. It was just like, So I was like, I can write this bad. And my friend was like, yes, you can. And then I decided to become an author.
How many years?
So I didn't actually publish my first one until 2016. So I was 36. So several years. And in the meantime, like, kids are popping out, and then they're, sitting next to me as I type, and then they're learning to sound out the words that I'm typing. So then they are sent to the playroom to play while I'm typing. So it just took some time.
Now I'm just sitting over here like, I'm not an island, but I can't remember not writing stories. I started in literally grade school when I was learning to write. So I mean, boxes and journals, and it wasn't until high school that my dad was telling me that I should publish because I was good. And then I had the weird write some poetry for my junior English class, and he thought they were so good. You went to school and talked to the teacher. So then she was like, "Oh, I wouldn't." And I'm like, "It sucks," and it did suck, and I don't do poetry. But I just thought it was a cool hobby. You can't make money. You can't make money writing books, and that's here or nor there. But that's a whole different topic.
Truth. No, I'm just.
But I mean, I decided that I was going to publish on my own 2017, and then I did it in 2017. But I had been writing for ever for that. So yeah, I don't think I want to talk about how many I have unpublished, especially to you, because you're going to yell at me.
Where are they? I want to read them. Send them to the editor.
You know what? I'm going to send you something that I feel shouldn't see the light of day.
All right.
So you can be like,
you will not be the first. So
you will think that some certain stories that you have read in the past.
Sadly enough, some of those that she's read that shouldn't see the light of day have seen the light of day. So at least you got that on.
And they got worse. And they got worse.
Okay.
That's it. That's it.
I'm going to try to find my little magic button.
I'm going to press this magic button right here.
I'm going to be pretty and sit here.